New York City, 1971. The Oak Room at the Plaza Hotel. White tablecloths, crystal glasses. The kind of restaurant where waiters wore tuxedos and menus had no prices, because if you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. The kind of place Muhammad Ali could now walk into and have the best table without a reservation, because he was Muhammad Ali, and restaurants like this wanted him there. He was 30 years old, former heavyweight champion, stripped of his title in 1967 for refusing the draft. Finally allowed to box again, had fought Jerry Quarry 6 months earlier, had fought Oscar Bonavena 3 months ago, was training for Joe Frazier in March. The world was watching him again. Restaurants wanted him. Reporters followed him. Every door in New York opened when he approached. Ali sat at his table with 2 men from his management team discussing the upcoming Frazier fight. Numbers, training schedule, the conversation that happened when boxing was business and every fight meant millions of dollars. The waiter approached to take their order. Tall, thin, perhaps 40 years old, moving with the careful precision of someone who had been doing this job long enough to be invisible. Someone who served important people and was trained not to be noticed. Ali looked up to order, stopped mid-sentence, stared at the waiter's face. The waiter froze. Recognition in his eyes, too. A moment of panic. Then the professional mask back in place. "Good evening, gentlemen. May I bring you something to drink?" Ali ignored the question. "Jimmy Henderson?" The waiter hesitated. "Yes, sir." "Jimmy Henderson from Louisville?" "Yes, sir." Ali stood up from the table. "Jimmy Henderson, who used to train at Louisville Athletic Club, who taught me how to throw a proper jab when I was 14 years old?" The Oak Room did not appreciate waiters having personal conversations with guests. "Mr. Ali, please, I'm working." "You're damn right you're working. You're working as a waiter? Jimmy, what happened?" The management team watched this interaction with confusion. Ali was supposed to be focused on Frazier, not having emotional reunions with waiters. Jimmy lowered his voice. "It's a long story. Please, Mr. Ali, I need this job. Can I take your order?" Ali looked at him, really looked at him. The man standing there in a Plaza Hotel tuxedo had been a fighter, a real fighter, not champion material but skilled, good enough to go 10 rounds with anyone in Louisville, good enough to teach a skinny 12-year-old kid named Cassius Clay how to fight. 1954, Louisville Athletic Club, a basement gym that smelled like sweat and leather and dreams. Cassius Clay had walked in weighing 98 pounds, asking to learn how to fight because someone had stolen his bicycle and he wanted to beat them up. Joe Martin, the police officer who ran the gym, had laughed and said the kid needed to learn fundamentals first. Jimmy Henderson had been 23 years old, working construction during the day, training at night, dreaming of going professional. Good amateur record, fast hands, smart fighter. He had taken the skinny 12-year-old aside and shown him the basic jab, how to stand, how to move, how to keep your hands up. "Kid," Jimmy had said, "boxing ain't about anger, it's about science. You want to beat the guy who stole your bike? Learn the science." For 2 years, Jimmy Henderson had been one of several fighters at the gym who helped train young Cassius, showed him combinations, sparred with him carefully, taught him ring craft. Watched the skinny kid fill out and get faster, and start showing the talent that would eventually change everything. In 1956, Jimmy Henderson had turned professional, had 7 fights, won 5, lost 2. Then, in his 8th fight against a nobody from Cincinnati, Jimmy had taken a bad punch. Went down, got up, went down again, couldn't get up. Brain bleed, emergency surgery. Survived, but the doctor said no more boxing. Not ever. One more hard punch could kill him. Jimmy had been 25 years old. Boxing was all he knew, all he'd trained for, all he'd dreamed about. Suddenly it was over. He'd tried to stay in the sport, tried to get work as a trainer. But trainers in 1956 needed reputations. Jimmy Henderson had 7 professional fights and permanent brain damage. Nobody wanted to hire him. He'd taken construction work again, then factory work, then whatever he could find. The years had gone by. Jobs came and went. He'd ended up in New York, ended up waiting tables. It was honest work. It paid rent. It wasn't boxing, but boxing had nearly killed him, so maybe that was for the best. He'd followed Cassius Clay's career from a distance, watched the kid he'd helped train win Olympic gold in 1960, watched him turn professional, watched him become heavyweight champion in 1964, watched him change his name to Muhammad Ali, watched him refuse the draft and lose everything in 1967, watched him fight his way back in 1970. Jimmy had been proud, in a distant way. The kid he'd helped teach a basic jab was now the most famous athlete in the world. But Jimmy's life had gone a different direction. He was a waiter at the Plaza Hotel. He served important people. Sometimes he served people who talked about Muhammad Ali, about his fights, his politics, his comeback. Jimmy would nod and smile and bring them their food, and never mentioned that he'd once taught the greatest how to throw a punch. Now Muhammad Ali was standing in front of him at the Plaza Hotel, and Jimmy's carefully maintained invisibility was shattered. Ali looked at his management team. "Gentlemen, I need a minute." He took Jimmy's arm and walked him to a corner of the restaurant away from the table. Spoke quietly so other diners couldn't hear. "Jimmy, what happened? You were going to be a contender. You had skills." Jimmy touched his head. 8th professional fight, 1956. Guy from Cincinnati caught me wrong. Brain bleed. Doctor said if I fight again, I die. Ali's face changed. "Jesus, Jimmy, I didn't know." "No reason you would know. You were just a kid back then, still in the amateurs." "So, you quit boxing?" "Had to. Tried to get training work. Nobody wanted me. Been doing other things since. This is honest work. Pays okay. No shame in it." "No," Ali said quietly. "No shame in honest work. But Jimmy, you helped make me. You and Joe Martin and all the guys at that gym. You taught me fundamentals." "I wouldn't be here without that," Jimmy smiled. "You would have made it anyway. You had something special. We all saw it. But you helped. And now you're serving tables while I'm sitting at them. That's life, Muhammad. Different paths. I'm happy for your success, really." Ali was quiet for a moment. "You married? Kids?" "Divorced. 2 kids I don't see much. They're with their mother in Louisville." "You send the money?" "When I can. Waiter salary don't go far in New York." Ali looked back at his table. His management team waiting. The Frazier fight 8 weeks away. Millions of dollars at stake. Then he looked at Jimmy Henderson, 40 years old, wearing a tuxedo that wasn't his, serving food to people who didn't see him. A man who had once had the same dream Ali had, but whose dream had ended with a punch that nearly killed him. "Jimmy, you working tomorrow?" "I work every day except Monday." "Take tomorrow off. I'll cover what you would have made. Take tomorrow off. Meet me at my hotel at 10 a.m. The Pierre. Ask for my room." "Muhammad, I can't accept." "You're not accepting anything. You're meeting an old friend. 10 a.m. Don't make me send someone to get you." The next morning, Jimmy Henderson stood in the lobby of the Pierre Hotel, feeling like he didn't belong. The Pierre was even fancier than the Plaza. He almost left, almost decided this was a mistake. Then someone from Ali's team appeared and escorted him upstairs. Ali's suite was massive, view of Central Park, furniture that cost more than Jimmy made in a year. Ali was in training clothes, had clearly just finished a morning workout. "Jimmy, you came. Good. Sit down. We need to talk." They sat in the living room of the suite. Ali ordered room service, coffee, breakfast, enough food for 5 people, told Jimmy to eat. "Jimmy, I've been thinking about last night, about you, about all the guys at Louisville who helped me. You, Willie, Curtis, all of you. You gave your time to a skinny kid with a big mouth. Taught him how to fight. Never asked for anything. We were all training, helping each other. That's how gyms work. Yeah, but I made it. I became champion, made millions, and you're serving tables because one punch ended your career. Muhammad, that's not your fault. That's boxing. We both knew the risks. I know it's not my fault, but you helped me, and I can help you, so I'm going to. Jimmy shifted uncomfortably. I don't need charity. It's not charity. It's repaying a debt. You taught me boxing. I want to help you use that knowledge. How? I want to hire you as a trainer for my gym. Jimmy stared. You have a gym? I'm opening one in Miami. Training facility for young fighters, kids from the neighborhood who need somewhere to go, need someone to teach them. I need trainers, good trainers, people who know fundamentals, people who care about the kids, not just the money. Muhammad, I haven't trained anyone in 15 years. But you know how. You taught me, didn't you? You can teach these kids. Salary, benefits, housing if you need it, get you out of New York, get you close to your kids in Louisville. Jimmy's voice was rough. Why are you doing this? Because you were there when I needed help. Now you need help. That's how it works. Over the next month, Ali's team made arrangements. Jimmy Henderson gave notice at the Plaza Hotel, moved to Miami, started working at Ali's new training facility, teaching young fighters, kids from broken homes and tough neighborhoods who needed someone to show them how to throw a proper jab, how to stand, how to move. The same fundamentals Jimmy had taught a 12-year-old Cassius Clay in a basement gym in Louisville 17 years earlier. Jimmy was good at it, patient, knowledgeable. The kids respected him, not because he'd been a champion, he hadn't been, but because he cared. Because he showed up every day. Because he remembered what it was like to be a kid from nowhere, with boxing as your only way out. Ali visited when he could. Between training camps, between fights, he'd watch Jimmy work with the young fighters, see the same techniques Jimmy had taught him being passed to a new generation. You're good at this, Ali told him once. Jimmy smiled. You gave me a second chance. Not many people get that. You gave me my first chance. I'm just returning the favor. The gym in Miami operated for 6 years. Jimmy Henderson trained there until 1977, helped dozens of young fighters learn fundamentals. A few of them even went professional. None became champion, but all of them learned discipline, work ethic, self-respect, things that mattered whether or not they ever won a title. In 1977, Jimmy retired, moved back to Louisville to be near his kids. Ali made sure he had a pension, made sure he had health insurance, made sure the man who had helped teach him boxing didn't spend his final years struggling. They stayed in touch, not frequently, a phone call every few months. Jimmy would ask about Ali's fights. Ali would ask about Jimmy's kids. Two men who had started in the same basement gym and whose lives had gone in vastly different directions, but who were connected by those early years when one man had taught another how to fight. When Ali's Parkinson's got worse in the 1980s, Jimmy would call more often. You doing okay, champ? Getting by. Hands shake. Speech is harder. But I'm okay. You were always tough. Tougher than any of us. You were tough too, Jimmy. You took a punch that should have killed you and built a whole new life. With your help, with your skills, I just gave you a chance to use them. Jimmy Henderson died in 1994 at age 63. Complications from the brain injury he'd suffered 38 years earlier. Ali attended the funeral in Louisville, stood at the grave with Jimmy's children, told them stories about their father teaching a skinny kid how to box in a basement gym. Your father was one of the best trainers I ever had, Ali told them. He taught me fundamentals, taught me science, taught me that boxing wasn't about anger, it was about skill. I never forgot that, never forgot him. Jimmy's daughter thanked Ali for coming, for hiring her father, for giving him those years in Miami. He was happy there, she said. He'd been lost for so long after he had to quit boxing. You gave him purpose again, gave him back his dignity. Ali's voice was quiet, slurred by the Parkinson's. He gave me my start, Least I could do was give him a new one. Years later, when people asked Ali about his early training, he always mentioned Jimmy Henderson, the fighter who never became famous, who had 7 professional fights and a brain injury that ended his career, who had worked construction and factories and waited tables at the Plaza Hotel, who had helped teach a kid named Cassius Clay how to throw a proper jab. Some people help you, Ali would say, and then life takes them in a different direction. You make it, they don't. You have 2 choices. You can forget them, or you can remember. I chose to remember. Jimmy Henderson taught me how to fight. When I found him serving tables, I made sure he got to do what he loved again. That's not charity, that's loyalty. That's remembering the people who helped you before you were somebody. The lesson was simple. Success creates obligation. When you make it, you remember the people who helped you get there. You find them, you help them, you give them chances, you repay debts that maybe they don't even think you owe. Because somewhere in your past is someone who taught you something, who gave you time, who showed you a skill, who believed in you before anyone else did. And maybe their life went a different direction. Maybe they're serving tables or working construction or struggling in ways you don't have to struggle anymore. You can walk past them, pretend you don't see them, let them stay invisible. Or you can do what Ali did. Stop, remember, help. Jimmy Henderson taught Muhammad Ali how to throw a jab in 1954. Ali gave Jimmy Henderson a reason to use that knowledge again in 1971. One debt repaid, one life changed, one waiter who became a trainer again because someone remembered. That's the real measure of success, not the titles you win or the money you make, but what you do when you find the people who helped you and discover they need help back.